It all started off with a simple tweet. Thousands of people have been asking if I'd run for Senate leadership. And what Rand Paul did was follow this up with a poll asking people, should I run for the Senate leadership position? And what we can see is he took a resounding win within it, taking roughly 96% of the vote. Rand Paul being one of the greatest people in American politics and undoubtedly the son of the greatest living American in that of Ron Paul. Truly a phenomenal person, one of the best in government. I'd argue the only two salvageable human beings within that of the United States government would be people akin to that of Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, those who actually understand the nature of the monetary system that we are under, and also truly addressing the fact that endless money printing and spending abroad to fund these black budget projects as well as these endless wars, all it does is further bankrupt us and make the next generation even more impoverished than the last. And it's so unbelievable because Rand Paul truly is one of the best to do it. Standing forward in front of the COVID regime as it sat there and attempted to bulldoze through that of civil society, saying, no, I won't move, you move, challenging Dr. Anthony Fauci at every single turn, bringing him into Senate hearings and questioning him endlessly. Truly a remarkable man, and with it, I do not respect people within government, but Rand Paul is someone I most certainly appreciate. Now let's go ahead and throw it into this video. We're starting this off with the tweet from Rand Paul where he threw this idea into the zeitgeist of the political landscape itself, and what we can see is thousands of people have been asking if I'd run for Senate leadership, he says. Elon Musk says sure, lives of TikTok with the eyes pried wide open, the redheaded libertarian saying yes, Lars Mapstead, who is running for president under the Libertarian Party, saying you would be better than any one of those that came before you during my lifetime. Absolutely true, could not agree more. And now we jump onto the quote tweets. Here we see Dave Smith, this would be so great. Cat Turd saying do it. DC Drano, Senate Majority Leader Rand Paul would be amazing, maybe even VP. Phoenix Ammunition says, I knew it would add a lot to your plate, but Rand, we'd all love to see it. Just test it out for a bit and see how it works. Juanita Broddick says, please, we need your leadership in the Senate. Citizen Free Press says, Rand Paul for Senate Leader, posting a picture of him in a robe at the Capitol. Here we see Hannah Cox saying, for the love of God, please. Tara Bull, we aren't asking, we're begging. Harmeet Dillon, please. Wall Street Silver, yes, do it. Kennedy Cody, I need Majority Leader Rand Paul like I need water. And then we jump onto the Virginia Project and we see Rand Paul is one of the few GOP senators widely trusted enough to be the U.S. Senate negotiator on the people's behalf. Any other choice would be an inferior in quality and outcomes. And that is absolutely true. There's not a statement I could agree with more. Now we jump on to the actual poll itself. Rand Paul posting this saying, vote now, who would you like to be the next Senate leader? Rand Paul, John Thune, or John Cornyn, with Rand Paul sweeping 96.6% of the vote, truly staggering, with a comment from Elon Musk saying, would be interesting to see other Senate leadership candidates run similar polls. Tara Bull saying, Rand Paul, you're one of the few we can trust. And then we go on to George Alexopoulos. You see, you, sir, the only other worthy role for you as VP than president in 2028. And that is something I most certainly agree with. I would be quite fascinated to see Rand Paul as president and really do his father proud in reducing the size of this government spending, because that is one thing Rand Paul talks about endlessly. And I absolutely adore it, because one thing that he brought up when it came to the nature of the State of the Union speech was, you know what? I don't really think anyone's going to actually talk about reducing government spending and addressing the deficit and dealing with our debt. And he was absolutely right. That was never the topic at hand. It was always about Ukraine, Russia, how we have to worry about the problems with Taiwan, and the issues with MAGA Republicans, because that was the entirety of Joe Biden's State of the Union address. Now let's go ahead and jump into these articles. One thing that I thought was so impressive that followed right after Rand Paul's post that he put forward, well, asking people should he be the one to run for the Senate minority leadership role, well, it was that RFK Jr. threw his hat into the ring almost immediately, without hesitation, to back Senator Rand Paul. Here we see from Newsmax, RFK Jr. backed Senator Rand Paul to succeed McConnell. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has named his choice to lead the Republicans in the Senate to replace Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Republican from Kentucky, who has announced his resignation Wednesday. Mitch McConnell, who has served in the Senate for almost 40 years, announced he'll step down this November. Kennedy posted on X, part of public service is about knowing when to usher in a new generation. Kennedy then continued, it's time to promote leaders in Washington, D.C. who won't kowtow to military contractors or push us deeper into foreign conflicts. We need representation who will prioritize American wellness over all else. I believe Rand Paul would be an incredible successor. He's shown great judgment and has the grit to put hardworking Americans first. McConnell announced Wednesday he was stepping down from his leadership post after 17 years as the head of the Senate Republicans. I turned 82 last week. The end of my contributions are closer than I prefer, McConnell said on the Senate floor. Father Time remains undefeated. I'm no longer the young man sitting in the back hoping colleagues remember my name. It's time for the next generation of leadership. Although Kennedy and Paul differ on environmental issues, one topic they remain united on is their mutual antipathy towards the former head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and that of Dr. Anthony Fauci. Paul has grilled Fauci several times over his inconsistent messaging during the pandemic, and Kennedy has written a book dissecting Fauci, which Rand Paul obliterating Dr. Fauci in so many of those different Senate hearings was phenomenal. And if you haven't read RFK Jr.'s book on the real Anthony Fauci, I cannot recommend it enough. It is one of the most eye-opening pieces of literature I have ever seen, and one of the things that many people need to address with this is that it is filled with a litany of sources, and if RFK Jr. was lying in any of it, he would have been told to retract the book itself. So that is something many should consider, and also a book many should go read. Now let's go ahead and continue on with the rest of this. There realistically isn't too much to say about the fact that Rand Paul is announcing that he's going to be attempting to supplant Mitch McConnell as the Senate Minority Leader, except good. This is exactly who we want in this position. That is it. That is realistically the only take that I have. But it is important to focus on the fact of why Rand Paul would be so good in this role. And well, here we see from Reason Magazine providing a perfect example of this. This interview by Zach Weissmueller interviewing Rand Paul, truly phenomenal. I cannot recommend it enough. Link in the description down below as per usual, as will all of the sources that I use in every single one of my videos. So you can go check this stuff out, and with it, if you find something that I didn't analyze, you think I missed something, you think I'm wrong, you can go ahead and present this to me, and you can gladly sit there and make a comment about it, tweet at me, send me a DM on Twitter, something along these lines, and I will gladly have the conversation with you about where you think I'm wrong, and then hopefully I can come to a more understandable and amicable end to be a better person, and with it someone who is standing for the nobility of what truth is. Now we jump in to see from Reason Magazine, Rand Paul pursuing an accountability on lab leak deception. Reason's Zach Weissmueller talked with the senator about his quest to uncover origins of the COVID-19 lab leak theory and hold Anthony Fauci accountable. Well, Rand Paul being one of the only people within the entirety of the US government willing to actually put his foot to the ground and say, no, I will not move, you move. I will speak the truth no matter what, even when it is most uncomfortable to do so, no matter the corner that it backs me into, I will still do so unceasingly, no matter the challenge presented. And that is something that really just echoes the sentiments of his father, Ron Paul, who is undoubtedly the greatest living American. In this interview from Zach Weissmueller talking to Rand Paul, truly phenomenal. Cannot recommend it enough. Link in the description down below so you can go check out all the sources and all that. Now we jump into this other article here, and we see from the Nation Pulse, Rand Paul introduces bill to force Fauci NIH scientists to disclose big pharma royalties. Ooh, that's a big one. And well, this is actually quite recent considering this is now going to be pushed forward in 2024, the Royalty Transparency Act of 2024. Let's go ahead and jump into this article and then we'll close out this video. From the National Pulse, Rand Paul introduces bill to force Fauci and NIH scientists to disclose big pharma royalties. Senator Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, has proposed a bill obliging federal employees to declare royalty profits from new technological advancements. The bill, the Royalty Transparency Act of 2024, passed unanimously in the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee on Wednesday. During COVID, we had vaccines that were developed by Pfizer and Moderna, and then these vaccines were mandated on people throughout the government, throughout the military, by different governors around the country, and yet we don't know whether the people that were approving either the vaccines or the mandates were receiving money from Big Pharma, Paul said during an interview on Thursday. If enacted, the legislation would require federal employees' royalty earnings to be disclosed in an online database available for public viewing. Paul suggested that this measure would allow the public to identify any officials who approved drug treatments while receiving financial compensation from the drug manufacturers. Historically, federal agencies like the National Institute of Health, NIH, have come under fire for refusing to disclose royalty payments to their researchers. The bill follows a report from government watchdog group Open the Books that found over 1,800 government scientists had collected over 27,000 royalty payments from 2009 to 2016, equating to hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's not a small amount of money, Paul said. It's a significant amount of money to scientists, and so some of them are getting million-dollar paydays from big pharma companies, and it's not being disclosed to the public. Could there be anyone better to be vying for the position that Mitch McConnell once held in that of the Senate Minority Leadership role than Rand Paul, the man who's willing to bring forward the Royalty Transparency Act of 2024 to attempt to further expose the machinations of the COVID era? No, I don't think there could be. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section down below. Stay lovely, stay great, tell someone you love them. Peace out.